Hi, this is Jack with a little run through of the Put It Together 4, 5, and even 6 and 7, which is the extra credit portions, for page design, working in InDesign. And as you read the instructions, and you should read them thoroughly first, you'll see that I tell you to start with Put It Together 2 first. And this would be Put It Together 2. And if I click on to W, I want to show you what it looks like generally. And there's a few problems here I wanted to mention to you. I'm still seeing some issues with alignment and fitting. And we're definitely should be getting past that. Remember, every box should be completely full of text, yet there shouldn't be text left over, right? And leaving big gaps will begin to accumulate bigger deductions now. Do also notice that my column rules extend all the way down to the end of the copy and all the way over to here, not touching though. So we've got this story over here. It's not quite ending right. Yeah, there's an extra line there. What's going on? I've got a missing line. What am I going to do? There are subheads in this story, but that's not really the issue. The issue is the number of lines, getting the number of lines right. And let's just say that almost always has to do with finding a paragraph to get shorter or longer. In this case, it could be either. I could go to this paragraph and I could track it back a tiny bit, boom, and I could close the box up to there. And now, because there's no other obstructions in the text, they should all match up just right, and it is aligned there. Extremely close anyway. On the other hand, let's say I was there. What if I wanted to gain a line? I look for a paragraph which is very full and really ready to break forward, like this one maybe. It's a kind of long paragraph. I see it comes right to the end, and I just do a tiny bit of positive track and maybe a tiny bit of positive scale, and boom, one more line, and now it's a line. Now I have just the right number of lines. So get the right number of lines. Sometimes, and this also needs the right number of lines. That is an issue here, right? Actually, I got my subhead in a bad place. Oh, I noticed that too here. Look at that, my subhead's in a bad place. I must have moved things around. And it doesn't have the line on top of it. I'm getting rid of that subhead. I'm going to put it in here for, let's see. I put it right there. Maybe I'll say, looked incredible. Okay, and then I'm going to put that there and put that line there. And I'm going to make my subhead go like that. That's a quick styling method to do, but it essentially uses the paragraph styles, which is easier perhaps to do. Now I actually have the right number of lines now. If I didn't, I would deal with that first. But do you notice that we have an alignment issue down here? Are you having trouble seeing it? Well, you might want to get in closer, and you might want to click off and do W, and then you can definitely see that these lines are not lined up, right? Why are they not? Because of the photo and the cut line, which I've not written yet, but you would do that first. You have to write out the headlines, you have to write out the cut lines. Please edit your cut lines too to keep them nice and short. Only say what you need to. So how would I deal with this? Well, there's two ways you could do it. First of all, it's really not very much. If I click on this cut line, I can just go down a couple of clicks, boom, that lines it up very nicely. And then if I felt there was too big of a gap in between here, I could just expand the photo very slightly, and then I could just fit it. When you have just a little bit of photo to gain, that's when you could say fill frame proportionally. It's just the tiniest crop of the photo. If I go and use I'll use the content grabber and hold down, you'll see that there's just the tiniest extra photo around on the edges there. It just goes out the edges a tiny bit. So there we go. That would do it. Another way would have been I could have gone into here. Let's do Control Z. And my Control Z's are not all working, but we were someplace like around here. There, like something like that. I could go to this blank line and just add a tiny bit of leading. This should be the only place I use leading, in blank lines, and only carefully. Don't use leading in copy. I'm seeing that. It's definitely going to be cause for bigger deductions. We would never, on the other hand, go into this paragraph and use leading. No. Paragraph, tracking or scaling, gain or lose a line. Tiny recrops of photos, and use your subhead blank lines to make, or that, to make them align. Okay, so that's all set. And what about this one down here? Same kind of issue here. I don't have subheads in this case. Could add them, but I think just a very tiny recrop of the photo. I would just go up a couple of clicks, and actually don't even have to recrop the photo. The cut lines being just a click or two further or closer is pretty much imperceptible. Oh, do notice that how much space I've left here. I see some people are making these really tight, taking up the space. No, it should be a generous amount of space there. That's nice. And about equivalent top and bottom. Okay, here we go. That's not the assignment. That was just some tune-up stuff. So what the instructions say is first get rid of the column rules. Okay, we are not doing column rules now. We're doing a box. And there's two ways to do boxes. So you can see I've removed my column rules. There's two ways to do boxes, and I want you to do one of each. So this is going to be, I'm going to save this as, I would do save as, and I would call this put it together 4. Save it as 4. Okay, good. And you would change the name here. Let's change the name here. Let's go ahead and actually do that now. Change the name here to 4. And I'll say 5. I'll say save as. I'm going to say put it together. Mine says testing 4. I'll say again. And another 4. Why not? Another 4. Sure. Keep myself sort of organized. So first we're going to use what I would call the body box method. I'm going to take the body copy box, the main box with the main amount of text here, and select it. I'm going to open it up as if it were a box around the whole thing. It's going to go up to the top level of the story, which is that rule which is right at the top here. But the key thing is it's going to wider to where the column rule would have been. Okay? And it's going to have to get longer, maybe eventually, maybe not. We'll see. But we have now used this box all the way around the inside. What good did that do? Well, nothing really very much. We can't see very much different. But we want to see that box. How will I see that box? I'm going to put a stroke on it. And I have to move my little guy here. There, that's better. So let's go to stroke. And I'm going to go to half point stroke. Do I say half point? Yeah, half point. 1 point would be okay also. And I'm going to click off now. And I'm going to use a W. Nothing happened. It's because the stroke, it doesn't have a color. I could do that here, which is, that's fill. This is stroke. Drag to apply. But I would prefer to do it here in swatches. I could go to stroke, and I could say black. Oops, I'm not, sorry, I got to select my box first. Was it on already? No, okay, good. Box, stroke, black. Okay. Now I've got a black stroke on it. Not seeing it very much over here, but that's okay. We're going to see it more in just a moment. Because also with that overall box selected, I know it's a little hard to feel the box is there, but believe me, I did select it. Excuse me. Sorry, a little interruption for a sneeze. And now I'm going to do Control B. Come on, select the box first. Now do Control B. There it goes. Inset spacing. I want to do inset spacing. It's locked. That's good. I'd like it locked, or I'll do the same on each one. A P9. 9 points is 3 points short of a pica, which is the measure of our gutters. Okay? So what's happened is the whole story's been inset inside this box here. Go off, and you'll see it's all been inset there. A box which goes to right where the column rule would be. So it's as if there's a gutter on either side of this box, like this box rule here. But there's not. But there's some places where things are pushing into it. So I'm going to click on the box and drop guides on the edges of the inset, which is also here. So now I have to close everything up to these lines. That one already is closed up to that line. Sorry, oops. That's wrong. Click on the photo first. Oh, sometimes you gotta click off and click back. And see what we have there now. So it's like we have a box going all the way around here. That means I have to close up the cut line also. And the headline. Headline's not too long. Headline's got to be rewritten. Still a little too long. just that's a preview glitch. Awful close. Could I select the whole thing and just use our tracking and scaling rules? Yes, I could. Just one click down, make it fit. Okay, so also notice that now we have to use this kind of interior grid for things like photos. It's no longer on the grid of the page, it's on the grid of the story. So I have to change this slightly and change this slightly. And to be honest about this, I should also go and refit my photos, which would make the photos slightly different. If I felt like the crop has been too much, it doesn't look too bad though, really. It's pretty much the same crop that I had before. But do notice that now other things have changed, like my story is not ending anymore. I have to open it up a little bit. Now it's longer than here. By the way, if in any of these exercises you find you can't fit all the stories, then you could drop, well, like it would be this story down here. You could drop it if you need to, but you shouldn't have to at this stage. Okay, so, and we have more alignment issues to deal with because we've moved all this stuff around, including the cut lines and the relationship to the story, right? But do notice, so how am I going to handle that? I don't have the right number of lines either. I need to get one more line or lose a line. I'm going to expand this cut line down a little bit, right to there. Now I'm going to have to close this. I got 2 lines. So I could gain 2 lines or I could lose 2 lines. I think with this story, looking at it, it might be better to lose 2 lines. So I'm going to close it up just a little bit to there. And I'm going to lose a line right there. Click in there and then go. It's already a little minus, but that's okay. Don't know why. It's probably from previous demonstration. And lose a little bit there. Now I have the right number of lines. And if I go off on W, I've got the space going all the way around. There's maybe a little more space than necessary. I could close this up just the tiniest bit. Right there. So you see what I've done? Oh, this fitting is not quite right. Fitting, it's very close, so I'll say fill proportionally. If you've got essentially a perfect fit and then you change it slightly, you can just fill proportionally. Okay, maybe this headline is a little bit loose in here too, around this headline. Yeah, it actually is. I'm just going to close this up a little bit, and now I've got a copy sticking through there, right? I'm going to close this up a little bit. Just going to change everything. Now I'm going to close. Take this, and I can do a control click. Click. Shift click on both those things. Move them up together, maybe. And my alignment is all changed now down here. I have to redo that. Yes, this is a little bit of a fidgety little things I've got to get. I could close that up just a little bit more. Okay, I'm one line wrong now. I need one more line because I changed things around. I can go to here and just do a tiny track out. Boom, right number of lines. I can click on the story and see I got an extra space within the inset. Close it up just very nice. So we're really close now. And then I would bring this story up. So what's going on with this story down here? It's now it's not being governed by another rule. We're not doing any column rules. So this story here will go out fully to this column rule here. Right? So all we have is one gutter between these on this side, which is going to change things not at all really. The alignment is still very nice. This will change slightly. The photo has to move over to be on this new grid. Again, we're kind of setting up this new grid. Your cut line would have to, if in doing any of this, we want to reshape the story, that's an option. And I'm just going to refit, because it's going to be fitting the top choice in this case, because it's just a tiny recrop. So that's pretty good fitting all the way around. Okay, good. So this would be number 5. Number 4. Okay, so you've saved that, put it together 4, and exported it, make sure you're all set. Now go open up, put it together 3. All right, and I have it here. This is my number 3. Remember number 3, the lift story goes across the top. I've actually made that a bold head because it's a serious story in this case, which was an option. It's all fit in nicely. I did add some subheads in. See how I didn't add them in these short sticks? I could have, but I decided not to. That's an option too. I got the Nevada story over here. It ends properly. I've got the Golden Globes. Now only has one head, but it's still the big art. I still have two photos. We're going to again put a box around something. This time we're going to put a box around in a different way, but it's still going to use the Golden Globes package. So I suggest, and I suggest you do, save as. And we're going to put this, let's put it together, testing. This is going to be called number 5. Whatever. I got too much in that name of that thing. Okay, good. So here we go. I'm just going to delete the column rules again. But this time, the difference is, it's not that big a difference. We're going to make a new box. I'm going to take a text tool and draw a text box here. If you want to, you could draw it someplace else off on the pasteboard and then move it over here and then size it. I can draw I'm going to draw significantly bigger, deeper than the content, but I want it to go all the way from this edge to this edge and so on. What happened? Well, text boxes, by their nature, start with some text wrap. So all the text wrap left here. Okay, good. Yes, I got to move that to go to the text wrap panel. We're going to turn it off. Everything comes back again. So this box now is one we're going to do Control B, and we're going to go to inset spacing and do P9 like before. Hit enter. I have this inset all around. I'm going to, again, now it's very much like the past exercise. I'm going to drag and drop there. I'm going to drag and drop onto, I don't really need to, it's on that rule here, but it'll help me see it. Actually, that's not it. Let me zoom in there. Have trouble seeing this stuff? Zoom in. Okay, so I do not want that guy. That guy is not doing it. There's fine. I have this text box selected. It's this inset, which is on this rule right here, this current column guide, which makes sense that it is. I'll just drop it there anyway, just to have one, just to say I did. And the top area, I need to now take this big overall text box, which is on the top of things, and kind of push it up to where I would think that the rule would have been, which would be about there. And I'm going to drag this line here too. Okay, so now we just need to close things up. We can't get to them, right? So I have to select this box and object. This is the overall text box I just drew. Oh, before I do this, I should probably give it a stroke. Again, a 0.5. And I should go check the color and swatches to make sure that the stroke is on black. I click on it to see. Yes, it is. I have a black stroke there now, right? Good. So I can't get to the stuff behind there. Control click would let you do it, but it's a lot easier to take the big box and say Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Now I can click on my regular stuff, and I can make it smaller. That already is narrower there. Cut line has to be a little bit smaller. I'm still actually using the space I already had there. This has got to be smaller. This has got to be smaller. And so on. You know what I could say? I could say, that's really getting a little bit narrow in here. I could make this an odd measure. Why don't we do that? Let's go to 3 sticks. Now this photo is going to be a lot smaller. I'm looking to my new grid underneath here. I'm going to refit this photo. Fit proportionally. I'm going to close it all up. I'm going to use my arrow to bring it up to the top here now. And then I'm going to take my cut line. It's got to be smaller too. And it's going to be moved up here also. And I haven't written my cut lines yet, but you'd have to write yours. And so I could expand that to overset copy. I'm going to close this box up all the way. I have to redo my subheads now. See where I'm going here? I have to redo my subheads because I got 2 of them too close together there. So you need to make that a line here. And then I'm going to bring this up here so it has the proper spacing below it. I'm not going to finish this off for you. You get the idea. I've made a box on the I've again made a box which has got inset and a stroke on it. This stroke is there. It's just kind of like right on the very edge. So I'm not seeing it there, but it's there. And oops. Okay, good. So I've got all that done. And so I didn't do it. I'm going to ask you to rework your subheads. make things align properly. And then over here, you don't have to do anything except this story's down too far. It needs to go up. I'll select both those together to that level right there. And you shouldn't have to do anything with the top story either. So it's just a different way to make a box. Instead of using the body copy box, we made a new box and did that. So I'm going to save that. And you should too, and then you should, after you finish it up, export it, and that will be number 4. Sorry, that will be number, put it together, 5. Okay, let's say you want to do the extra credit. So you'd be starting with either of the 2 you did earlier. And again, you'd save it with a new name. This would be put it together 6. And I might as well do that. I'll do a save as. I'll do the one I just had open. And I'm going to call this put together 6 test. Sure, why not? Good. All right, here we go. Now I need to click on that outside box again. The box that is being the box for the whole thing, right? And I want to change the inset. So that'll be Control B, text inset. And I'm going to make it enormous. It says 18 or 27 points. We're doing multiples of 9 here, right? I'm going to make it really enormous. So let's go ahead and make it. I'm going to make it. How about 27 points? That would be 2p3. 2p3. It's huge amount of inset to make it really exaggerated inset. Inset, an extra space around something in general, really accentuates it. So essentially, I'm just redoing my entire page based on this grid now, which is going to seem tiny, tiny. That means I already, for this one, if you remember, had changed my column measures. If I hadn't done that, I would need to do it now, because this whole thing in here is getting way too narrow, right? And make a new grid here, all the way around. See what it's like? It's so much space on the inside here. I still have my stroke there, and I still have to do my headlines, have to be all rewritten, and I might make the headline maybe down to 30 point now if I had trouble fitting it, but maybe not. So this would be a kind of a special package which is made in this way. This is going to get a little bit narrow, but I already made it quite a bit narrower and refit it, so I don't know how much refitting is going to be necessary there. This top photo, though, I would say it probably should be refit. And that can be moved up to that line there. And then this cut line will be moved up. You see what I'm doing? Kind of refitting everything on this. Now, I'm going to have trouble selecting all this stuff. Here's a trick you could try. If I select all this, I don't want my overall background box. I could do Shift-click on that outside one. I could still move the inside ones as a group here. So it'd be something like that. And now I've got to refit my story. Open it again. It's not really fit properly because I didn't really finish it last time. Those subheads are not in a good place, so you have to rework those too. I'm going to assume you'll do all that. Take my overall background box and bring it down to have the same amount of spaces on the edges, which is enormous. But now we're going to do something special. We want to do something special to the rule on this box. So we're going to go to a what is called an Oxford box. Some people call it that. It's kind of a double rule box, a thick, thin, at 6 to 10 points. So we're going to go to stroke. And we're going to go to a different style of type. We're going to go to a thick, thin, and we're going to make it really big, like, let's say, 10 point. It's enormous. I'm going to, now, see, you have these options of saying, is the stroke on the inside? I'm making the stroke on the inside of the box. Otherwise, it's going to push into my area more. I'm making the stroke on the inside of the box. In other words, it's not taking up the space on the outside. It takes up a little bit of that inset, but that's okay. So 10 is enormous. So this is a really big black box. Not probably appropriate for a light story like this. Could be done like a funeral story, for instance, or something like that. It's very newspapery. This odd measure. This was probably too heavy and too much. You could make it gray. You could change the color of it, so on. But then you'd have to line things up and make it all work. So that could be an extra credit. Chances are, if you make it on the inside here, you're not going to change anything else in the page, though. Then you would save this and output it. Now, what if you're going to go on to number, put it together 7? We could start with this one again and just continue now. So but before that, you'd have to save it. You'd have to export it. You'd have to make sure you had it good, keep it separate, and so on. Good. So, and by the way, the instructions say if you want to learn more about how to handle these styles, there's a page from a manual all about the strokes, how you can make special strokes and so on, including some wild Easter egg strokes here too, which is in the handout. So let's see about how we do these. Okay, the last extra credit 7. We're starting with extra credit 6. And this involves some parts of the stroke menu that people don't usually use or see. And it involves some Easter eggs inside the program. There's actually a number of Easter eggs inside all Adobe programs. Inside InDesign, this is some particular ones that have hung around from edition to edition. They're still here from who knows when they started. So this is a flyout menu. I have the strokes panel open, and the flyout menu is this little hamburger-like menu over here, and then I choose stroke styles. This would allow me, for instance, to make a new style. I could make a new style, and I could pattern on a dash or a stripe or a dotted, and then I'll go to dashed. I think it makes most sense. I could change the length of the dash, for instance. I could make it a longer or a shorter dash, and then I could give it a new name. I could call it Jack. And then I could say OK, and it would be there as a type to choose, and I could choose that. I guess you could do that for the exercise, but it'd be a lot more fun to click on New and type feet, for instance. Where am I getting this idea of typing feet? In the handout, there's a link to the Easter eggs, and this is what it says. You type feet, happy, lights, or woof to create the special Easter egg styles, or go to stripe and create rainbow or rasta. So I'm here in dash, and I'm going to type feet with a capital F and say OK, and it has created something called feet, which looks like little feet here. And I'm going to go, and you can do the others that are shown there. And I'm going to also go to another new, and I'm going to go to stripe and choose rainbow, right? Type rainbow. And I'm going to say OK. And there it is, a rainbow color. And that's the one I really want here. So then I'm going to say OK, which saved it in here as a choice. Now rainbow is now a choice I have, or Jack or feet. And now it's a rainbow around it. That's what I wanted to do. I'm going to do a rainbow. So that could be your extra credit, choosing one of these Easter eggs or making your own stroke based on those. And there's other instructions about how to make strokes and another link on the assignment too. Okay, that's enough about making boxes.